The twin suns of planet Verax were just beginning to rise when the signal came. It was early, quiet, birds in the violet skies, wind brushing the tall silver grass, and workers opening their shops across the city towers. No one expected that moment to mark the beginning of Fear's return. At exactly 0603 Standard Galactic Time, the main relay station near the capital started to flicker. The engineers inside stared at their screens, confused. It was an old code, so old it wasn't even in modern databases, but someone recognized it. A signal from Earth. Within minutes, alarms echoed through the towers. The Verax Council was called into an emergency session. Every official rushed to the high chamber, wings flicking nervously, faces tight with disbelief. "Is this real?" one of them asked. A transmission played in front of them again. A mechanical voice, human but old and distorted, repeated the same 6 words. "We are returning, we remember everything." The room fell into silence, then panic. The head chancellor stood and whispered, "It's them, the humans. Centuries ago, every known species in the galaxy fought a long and brutal war against humanity. Back then, humans were fast, clever, and terrifying. They adapted to every planet, every weapon, every strategy. They were small in number, but impossible to stop. So the species of the galaxy united, and after 50 years of war, the humans were gone. Some said they had been destroyed. Others believed they had vanished into deep space. But no one ever saw them again. Until now. The Verax activated emergency. Protocols last used during the Great Human War. Military scanners lit up. Secret archives were opened. Warnings were sent to other planets. But even across all these preparations, one truth remained. No one knew where the signal had come from. The council selected a young scout named Tyrell to investigate. He was quiet, focused, and known for doing what others feared. His black armor shimmered as he stood at attention before the council. "I will find the source," he said, "and I will report what I see." They gave him a ship, one not marked with any planetary flags. Silent, fast, invisible to most sensors. He launched into deep space within the hour, guided by the echo of the signal. It was weak but steady, as if calling him closer. He traveled beyond the mapped regions, past asteroid fields and forgotten battle sites. Wreckage floated like graves. Old pieces of ships, burned emblems. Silence. 3 days passed. Tyrell didn't sleep. He kept hearing the message in his mind. "We remember everything." On the 4th day, he reached the edge of known space. His ship's scanners detected something massive, too big to be a regular ship but not shaped like a station. He slowed and drifted closer. There it was. A warship. Dark, floating, not dead but asleep. Its body was sharp, blackened with old scars. Symbols in ancient human language glowed faintly on its surface. It wasn't a wreck. It was waiting. Tyrell moved his ship around it. No lights, no movement. But the signal was coming from this vessel. He activated his ship's external lights, scanning across the hull. Then he saw it, a name painted across the side in human English, HSS Vengeance. Suddenly, lights blinked on across the warship's surface. Turrets rotated, engines powered up with a low hum. The whole structure began to glow with life. Tyrell's hands shook as he activated his ship's retreat sequence. He wasn't alone anymore. The massive ship turned slightly, like it had sensed him. But it didn't fire. Instead, it broadcast a new message on all frequencies. "This is Commander Ayla Gray. Humanity has returned. If you remember us, then you remember why you should run." Tyrell stared, frozen in his seat. This wasn't a call for help. It wasn't a trap. It was a warning. And it was only the beginning. Tyrell's ship spun away from the massive warship as fast as its engines allowed. Warning signals screamed through his cockpit. The human vessel wasn't chasing, but it didn't need to. Its presence alone was enough. He stared at the image on his display. HSS Vengeance, now fully active, glowing with power that hadn't been seen in centuries. Tyrell sent a priority transmission back to Verax. "It's real. The humans are back, and they're not hiding anymore. But before his message could finish uploading, a pulse wave hit his ship. Not a weapon, just a signal. Everything around him went dark. Engines, lights, even the emergency backup failed. He floated in silence, surrounded by nothing but stars and the quiet hum of the universe. Then a voice echoed through his ship. "Do not be afraid. You are not our target. But your people must hear this truth." Tyrell froze. The voice wasn't angry. It was calm, old, tired. "You hunted us. You lied about peace. We never forgot. We never forgave." Then, just as suddenly, his systems came back online. The ship's engines restarted. The message finished uploading to Verax, and the warship vanished into hyperspace without a single trace. Back on Verax, chaos had already started. The Council received Tyrell's message and confirmed the warship's return. But it wasn't just one ship. Across the galaxy, other human vessels were waking up, dormant fleets hidden deep in black space. Old satellites blinked to life. Machines powered by human AI reactivated after centuries. Panic spread fast. The legends had been true. The humans were never destroyed. They had only waited. On the council floor, arguments broke out. "They're just trying to scare us." "No, they're declaring war. This is our fault. We hid the truth." Tyrell returned home 2 days later. His face was pale, eyes distant. He had seen something none of them had. "They didn't attack me," he said. "They could have, but they didn't. They only wanted us to know they're coming." The Chancellor called a secret meeting. In a locked chamber below the palace, the council opened forbidden records, files not seen in 300 years. Tyrell was brought in. He watched in silence as a hologram played from the ancient archives. Footage from the final days of the human war. It showed surrender talks, human ambassadors offering peace, and then sudden explosions. The Verax and their allies had ambushed the humans during negotiations. No warning. Just fire. Tyrell looked away. "You tricked them?" "We had no choice," said the Chancellor. "They were too dangerous. We ended it before they could rise again." "But they didn't forget," Tyrell said. "And now, they've returned." Elsewhere in the galaxy, the truth was spreading. Civilizations that once fought humanity remembered the fear. News of human signals reached the Brakari mines, the floating cities of Nylos, and even the deep caves of the Erix. The galaxy was waking up to an old nightmare. In the dark outer rim, far from any star, the HSS Vengeance entered orbit above a lifeless moon. Inside, the crew stood in silence. Human soldiers, tall, armored, quiet. Men and women who had been in cryosleep for centuries. They moved with purpose, following orders with sharp discipline. At the front of the command deck stood Commander Ayla Gray, her face calm but filled with old pain. She stared at a hologram of the galaxy. "Phase 1 is complete," said her lieutenant. "They know we're awake." She nodded. "Good. Let them remember. Let them feel the weight of what they did." "But we are outnumbered," the lieutenant added. "Their fleets have tripled since the war." Ayla smiled faintly. "They always outnumbered us. It never helped them." The war room darkened. New signals lit up on their screen. Human fleets, small but powerful, activating from forgotten regions of space. Each one broadcasting the same message. "We are returning. Justice will be done." On high, Verax. Tyrell walked to the edge of the council tower and looked at the stars. He knew this wasn't just about war. It was about something deeper. Regret. Betrayal. Truth long buried, now rising again. And somewhere out there, the humans were moving. They didn't come back to conquer. They came back to make the galaxy remember. And they were only getting started. The Verax Council chamber was silent as the new reports arrived. Human warships were appearing near the edge of different star systems, one near the Talic moons, another near the old ruins of the Draven Empire. Each ship was silent at first. Then came the same message. "Surrender your leaders, or burn." The galaxy had no answer. On Verax, the Chancellor called a high-level emergency summit. Leaders from allied species arrived in haste. The insectoid, Zir, the scaled rune, the silent-minded Nalkari, all once proud enemies of humanity, now sitting together in fear. "We must hide the truth from the public," said the Zir ambassador. "If they panic, everything collapses." "It's too late," Tyrell said. He stood at the edge of the room, armor still covered in space dust. "People are already panicking. They remember the stories. The fear never left." One of the Nalkari, speaking through a voice-emotion translator, added, "The war ended in betrayal. Perhaps they are right to return." The Chancellor looked angry. "They are monsters. They nearly destroyed the galaxy." "No," Tyrell said quietly. "We did that. When we stabbed them during peace." The words hung heavy. That night, across the Verax capital, people gathered in silence to watch the stars. Satellites showed a human ship entering their solar system, moving slowly, not attacking. Still, everyone stayed indoors. Schools closed. Military ships began to orbit the planet. And then, something strange happened. The human ship didn't fire. Instead, it left. No damage, no contact, just silence. Elsewhere, in a distant region of space, the HSS Vengeance entered a hidden asteroid belt. Inside, deep within a dark control room, Commander Ayla Gray studied a glowing hologram of the Verax star system. She stood tall, silver streaks in her black hair, her eyes sharp like blades. Around her, the crew, men and women awakened from cryosleep, watched without speaking. "We will not attack first," Ayla said. "Not yet. They must see what we've become." "But why give them time?" her second-in-command asked. "Why show mercy to those who gave us none?" Ayla looked at a small necklace in her hand. Inside it was an old photo, 3 humans standing in front of a burning city. "Because we are not them," she said. "Not anymore. If they want war, they'll have it. But if there's even a small chance for truth..." She didn't finish the sentence. On a nearby screen, a secret video played, a memory from 300 years ago. Human diplomats landing on Verax to sign a peace deal. Children, medics, no weapons. Then, missiles, flames, screams. That betrayal had never been forgotten. The humans had gone underground, vanishing from the galaxy, sleeping in silence while the other species built empires over their graves. But now the graves were empty. On Verax, Tyrell walked into the ancient archive tower. His clearance was now unlimited. He had seen too much. Inside, he found a hidden room filled with artifacts from the human war. There were helmets, weapons, journals, and one small object that made him stop. A data cube. Old, cracked, barely functioning. He activated it. A human voice played. "If you find this, and you are not one of us, tell the truth. We came in peace. We came to help. We were betrayed. And one day, we will rise again." Tyrell closed his eyes. Everything he had been taught was a lie. Back in space, another human fleet activated. This one near the Trinari cluster. It carried no warheads, no soldiers, only a single message drone which landed peacefully on the planet's capital. Inside it was a video. Ayla Gray, standing on the bridge of her warship, spoke clearly and slowly. "We have not forgotten your betrayal. We have not forgotten the blood spilled. We do not seek conquest. We seek justice. Hand over the ones who planned our destruction, or face what we've become." The message shocked the Trinari leaders. Many were young, born long after the war. But a few were old enough to know the names, the ones who had voted for the betrayal. The ones who now lived in comfort, far from the battlefield. The galaxy began to divide. Some species feared the humans and began building fleets. Others started asking questions, remembering how the war had truly ended. And in secret corners of the galaxy, resistance groups began forming, not against humans but against their own governments. Tyrell returned to the council with a question that no one had dared ask before. What if they're not here to destroy us? What if they're, here to remind us who we really are? The council gave no answer, but across the stars the old fear was changing. It was no longer just about humans. It was about the truth, and the truth was returning with them. In a dark corner of the galaxy, inside a forgotten orbital station above the dead planet Miroth, Commander Ayla Gray stood alone. Outside the glass window, ancient wreckage floated. Remains of the first human fleet destroyed during the betrayal. This place had been silent for centuries. Now it pulsed with power. She activated a transmitter. The frequency was old, hidden, designed to reach only one kind of listener. This is Ayla Gray, commander of the Vengeance Fleet. We remember you. We know you hid. But it's time to return. All loyal units, awaken. Across dead sectors, deep under ice moons and asteroid prisons, buried signals lit up. Human AI cores blinked to life. Sleeper ships stirred. Cryo chambers hissed open. From the ashes of forgotten battlefields, the rest of humanity began to wake. Back on Verax, Tyrell paced inside his quarters. The council had ordered him to stop speaking publicly about the truth. But he couldn't. Too many people were asking questions now. Too many young officers didn't believe the old war stories anymore. That evening, a secret message appeared on his console. It wasn't from Verax Command. It was encrypted, old Earth code. Only he could open it. The message read, "You saw our ship. You heard our warning. We do not want war. We want those responsible. Help us, or stay out of our way." Attached was a list, names, dates, locations. Tyrell scrolled through the data in shock. The names were real. These were the very council members who had planned the ambush during the old peace treaty, and they were still alive, living in hidden cities protected by the current government. Tyrell stared at the screen. Was this justice or revenge? The next day, Verax news channels were taken over by a surprise transmission. Every screen lit up, with a human face, Ayla Gray, broadcasting across the stars. "People of the galaxy," she said. "We are not your enemies. We are the truth your leaders buried. They told you we were dangerous. But they never told you what they did to us. They feared our strength and answered our peace with fire." She paused. "We do not seek war, but we will not forget. We will not forgive. Give us the ones who ordered our destruction, or prepare yourselves." The broadcast ended in silence. Verax leadership immediately declared it a threat. They spun the message as human manipulation. But Tyrell knew better, and so did many others. Some citizens began protesting outside the council tower. They held up old human artifacts once locked in museums, books, flags, symbols of what once was. They shouted for truth, not war. The council sent drones to scatter the crowds. Meanwhile, in the outer rim, the full human fleet was now awake. Hundreds of ships powered by AI and old nuclear cores hovered near ancient battlegrounds. They were not attacking, but they were watching. Ayla Gray met with her commanders inside a cold steel war room. "They still have time," she said, "but not much." Her lieutenant frowned. "Some of our people want to strike now. They're tired of waiting." Ayla nodded. "So am I. But if we attack first, they'll say we're monsters. Again. We give them one last chance. After that..." She didn't finish. She didn't have to. In secret, she sent another message, this time only to Tyrell. "You saw the truth. You felt the lie. Help us finish what they started. Give us the names. You know where they are." Tyrell stared at the message for hours. His hands trembled, his mind burned. The list was in front of him. He could forward it. He could end it. But at what cost? That night, as the skies above Verax glowed red with sunset, Tyrell walked to the old memorial garden. There stood a statue of the so-called victory over humanity. He looked at it for a long time, then dropped his council ID badge on the ground. He made a decision. At dawn, a small encrypted message reached Ayla Gray's ship. It contained the list, not just the names, but their exact locations. Ayla's eyes narrowed. She turned to her fleet. Prepare Phase 2. She walked toward the command deck and paused beside the viewing screen. Stars shimmered ahead. But behind them all was a wound, the betrayal that had never healed, and now that wound was opening. The galaxy held its breath. Tyrell's decision sent shockwaves through every system. The list of traitors, hidden leaders who had betrayed humanity, was no longer secret. Now the humans had proof. The Verax Council scrambled. Emergency security forces moved to protect the accused. But the humans were already preparing. Their ships glowed with cold blue light, engines humming quietly but powerfully. On the planet Verax, citizens watched nervously as military ships took position in orbit. The Council ordered a lockdown, fearing rebellion and human attack. Tyrell stood quietly in the Council chamber, feeling the weight of what he had done. Many called him a traitor. Some called him a hero. He didn't care. The truth had to come out. Far from Verax, deep in space, Commander Ayla Gray studied the data she had received, the names, the locations. She gathered her trusted officers in the war room. "We will move fast," she said. "Not to destroy, but to capture, to bring justice." Her lieutenant asked, "What if they resist? What if they attack us first?" Ayla's eyes flashed with cold fire. "Then we fight. We will fight for every life lost in that betrayal." Meanwhile, the traitors themselves sensed the coming storm. They hid in fortified cities, surrounded by armies loyal only to them. They sent messages to their allies, begging for help, but few answered. The galaxy was tired of their lies. On Verax, a young council member named Saria approached Tyrell. "Do you really think this will stop the humans?" she asked quietly. "Or are we just making things worse?" Tyrell looked at her, his face serious. "It might start a war, but hiding the truth has already lost us peace. If we want a future, it must be built on truth." At that moment, alarms rang through the council tower. A human fleet had appeared suddenly in orbit, much closer than anyone expected. It was the HSS Vengeance and several other ships, silently blocking escape routes. Ayla's voice came through the communication channels. "We are here for justice. The choice is yours. Hand over the traitors peacefully or we will take them by force." The council's response was chaos. Some wanted to negotiate, others shouted for weapons. Tyrell stepped forward. "We should talk." Ayla's voice softened, slightly. "Talk is good, but remember, time is short." In the tense hours that followed, secret talks began aboard the HSS Vengeance. Tyrell met with Ayla face to face for the first time. She was younger than he expected, strong but tired. Her eyes held pain and determination. "We are not monsters," she said, "but we are not victims anymore. This ends now." Tyrell nodded. "The galaxy needs to know everything. No more lies." They agreed on a plan. The traitors would be brought to justice, but peacefully if possible. The truth would be revealed openly. News spread fast. Across the stars, people waited, some with hope, others with fear, but not everyone agreed. In the shadows, a secret group of traitors began plotting. They had lost power, but they had not lost ambition. They prepared a strike, not just against humans, but against anyone who stood for truth. The galaxy's future hung on a knife's edge, and as the stars shivered with tension, one thing was clear. The humans had returned, and nothing would ever be the same again. The galaxy's fragile peace began to crack. News of the secret traitor group spread quickly, but no one knew their true strength or plans. They were ghosts, hidden in shadows, waiting to strike. On Verax, Tyrell felt the weight of every decision. The council grew divided. Some leaders wanted to surrender the traitors quickly, hoping to end the crisis. Others wanted to fight to protect their power at any cost. One night, Tyrell was summoned to a hidden chamber beneath the council tower. There, a shadowy figure waited, a former high-ranking official known as Lord Malrek. He smiled coldly. "You think you've won by handing over names?" Malrek said. "You don't understand. This war isn't about traitors. It's about survival. The humans remember, but so do we." Tyrell met his gaze. "Then why hide? Why let the galaxy suffer lies and fear?" Malrek laughed, low and bitter. "Because truth is a weapon, and in the wrong hands it kills more than any warship." Meanwhile, the human fleet prepared for their next move. Ayla Gray stood on the bridge of the HSS Vengeance, watching a dark starfield. "Intel shows the traitors plan to sabotage the peace talks," she said. "They want war." Her lieutenant nodded. "Should we strike first?" "No," Ayla replied firmly. "We fight only if attacked. We are here to bring justice, not revenge." Suddenly, a burst of energy lit up the fleet's sensors, an explosion near the Verax Council Tower. A hidden bomb had detonated, causing chaos and destroying key communication lines. Tyrell raced to the scene. The city was in panic. Fires burned in the streets, and emergency forces struggled to maintain order. Malrek's voice came over a hacked channel. "The so-called peace is over. We will not bow to human threats." The traitors had made their move. Ayla ordered her fleet into defensive positions. "Prepare for battle. We protect the innocent, but we will not back down." Back on Verax, Tyrell gathered a group of trusted officers. "We must find the traitors' base," he said, "before they destroy everything." They worked through the night, tracing signals and following clues. Finally, deep beneath the planet's surface, they found a hidden fortress. The traitors' leader, Malrek, stood before a large screen displaying the galaxy in flames. "Let the humans come," he said. "We will show them the price of truth." Fierce battle began. Verax forces fought the traitors underground while the human fleet clashed with enemy ships above. Explosions rocked the planet. The ground trembled as Tyrell and Ayla coordinated their forces. Despite the chaos, a new alliance was forming, a fragile bond between humans and some Verax soldiers who believed in peace. In the final moments of the fight, Tyrell confronted Malrek. "Face to face, you've lost," Tyrell said. Malrek sneered. "Truth is never lost, it hides in darkness. Waiting." Tyrell raised his weapon. "Then I'll keep searching." Outside, the skies cleared. The traitors' power was broken, but the cost was high. Ayla turned to Tyrell. "This is only the beginning. The galaxy must heal." Tyrell nodded. "And we will, together." As the stars shone above Verax once more, a new chapter began, one of truth, justice, and the hard road to peace. The battle was over. The traitors had been defeated, their secret fortress destroyed beneath Verax's surface, but the scars they left ran deep. Tyrell stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The sky was calm, but the memories of fire and smoke still lingered. Around him, the people of Verax slowly returned to their lives, rebuilding what had been broken. Ayla Gray arrived by shuttle, stepping onto the balcony with a calm but tired smile. "We did it," she said softly. Tyrell nodded. "But it was more than a battle. It was a test of who we really are." They watched as children played in the streets, humans and aliens together. A small group carried flags, old human symbols mixed with new ones from the allied species. It was a sign of something new. "We came back to find justice," Ayla said. "But maybe what we really needed was peace." Tyrell looked at her, understanding. Peace built on truth, not lies or fear. The Verax Council had agreed to open their histories, to tell the true story of the war, the betrayal and the humans' disappearance. Together, humans and aliens began healing the wounds of the past. But the future was still uncertain. Ayla stood beside Tyrell, her eyes on the stars. "Humans will stay," she said. "Not as conquerors, but as partners. Together, we will face whatever comes." Tyrell smiled, hope shining in his eyes. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy feels alive again. As the sun set behind the mountains, Tyrell and Ayla knew their fight was over. But the journey was just beginning. They were no longer enemies. They were allies, and the stars held endless possibilities.